Read n characters given read4. Given a file and assume that you can only read the file using given method read4. Implement a method to read n characters. What this question means is, first of all, a function called read4 is known to read up to 4 characters at a time from file. Then it will return the number of characters in the file if there are fewer than 4 characters in the file. We can look at this example. If the file contains 3 characters A, B, C, then what we want to read is 4 characters. So the output will be 3, which is the smaller one of these two. Also, when we look at example 2, the file contains 5 characters, what we want is 5, so output is 5. Then the file contains 12, what we want is 12, so they are equals, then output 12. Then in this example, the file contains leetcode, how many? 8. Then what we want is 5, so what we want is 5, so the output will be the smaller one, 5. However, how to implement a method to read these n characters? The number of characters in the file may be greater or less than or equal to n. So the idea of solve the problem is, first of all, we need to store the characters. What we really want to store is the characters we read at each time step. So we store the characters we read at each time step by the read4 function. We can store it with a temporary array. Then next step, we need to store the location where the buff array is currently stored. So how to store the location? We always use pointer here to store the location where the buff array is currently stored. Then the last step, we need to save the contents of this temporary array. This is a temporary array. We need to save the contents of this temporary array to the corresponding location of buff. So this is the last step. How to save that? Just a copy function. Save the contents of this temporary array to the corresponding location of buff. This is the idea of this question. So we also need to consider 2 corner cases. The first one is if we read some characters this time, but what we only need is a portion of it to complete the read task. At this point, the length of the copy we wanted, the smaller one between the number of characters read at this time step and the number of remaining required. And the other corner case is if the read4 function doesn't read full of 4 characters, the data has been read. So we also need to consider these 2 corner cases when we finish this function. What we need to do is, first of all, we need to define a variable to store how many characters we read at each time step. We can initialize this variable to 0. Then we need to write a for loop. For int I equals 0. Well, I is smaller than n is a character we really need to read. Then I plus 4, I equals I plus 4. we need to update the variable by placing 4 at each time step. Then what we need to do is define a temporary array here. So the temporary array should be a char array. Then the char array, new char. We have defined an char array, then we can make the length to be 4. Next step, we need to read data into a temporary array. So here we need to call the read4 function, then pass the temporary as a parameter here. And what we returned is how many characters we have read at this time step. So we should give the result of this function to the variable we defined above. Then we need to copy the temporary array to the buff array. How to do that? In Java, we need to call the system function, which is array copy. Here, it will be 5 parameters here. First, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the meaning of these 5 parameters? The first one means the source array. The second one is the start of the source array. And the third one, I should write as start. The third one is the target array. Then the fourth one is the start of target. Then the last one is the total length we need to copy. So we need to write like this and change the source array to temp. Then we need to start from the beginning of the temp array. Then the target array should be buff, because we need to copy the characters in temp array to buff. Then where we need to begin is the current position of buff. Current position is a pointer here. So what is a pointer? This one. I defines the current position of buff array. So we need to start from buff I. Then the total length will be, I have said the total length will be the smaller one among the lengths. Smaller one among the lengths. So here we need to put the first parameter as length, and the second one should be the remaining required. So remaining required, what we really want is n characters, and what we have read is I. So remaining required is n minus I. This is the copy function here. If what we read is less than 4, the description has been read. Then we need to return the total required length and the length of the current reading. We need to compare these two and return the smaller one of these two. So what we need to do is write a condition function. Then we try to compare length with 4. If length is smaller than 4, then we need to return the smaller one among two results. So we also need to call the max_min function here. Then the smaller one of the two results, the first parameter should be how many characters we already read. The second one should be how many characters we want to read. So this is the condition. When length is smaller than 4, it means we already finished our reading. However, we haven't finished this function because this function needs a return as an integer. So what we need to return here is return n, which means if the loop is not returned, the character read is a multiple of 4. then what we really need is return n, means n is a multiple of 4. Then we're done. We can run the code. The output is right, so we submit this. Okay,